SmackDown because he thought it was more the wrestling side. So you think to yourself, Matt, when you do a best of 7, the one thing you want to do is try and elevate as much as you can. At the ending of this, Matt, I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but neither guy got elevated out of this. I mean, what was the point of this? I mean, we're almost working almost backwards. Like, is the combination result now going to happen on TV? Is that where we've gone? We've gone from a pay-per-view to now it's got to be finished on TV? Or do we see... Oh, I wouldn't have minded seeing something like where both guys, they kind of like... They do so much in the ring that perhaps they have some sort of respect for one another by the end of it or something like that. I don't know. I mean, what was your overall feelings the way it finished, Matt?
It was kind of confusing. I was kind of expecting a definitive answer. You know, we've had best of 7, and they fought each other twice before they started the best of 7. So what we on the like we've come to like the 10th match now or something, are we?
Yeah.
So I can't say I'm really that keen on watching another match. I mean, the winner was guaranteed a championship match, I think was the thing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think, consider this match ended in a draw, let's just call it quits and say you're guaranteed a tag team match. You both get a title shot.
Well, I was going to say that. I mean, why didn't they do something like that? Like when I was saying about having that respect for one another at the end of it, they could have just shaked each other's hands and then, you know, tomorrow night on Raw, Foley says, you know what, I'm going to team you guys up. You get a title shot against the New Day or whatever, and go with that. I mean, these guys singly, are they really going to get anything better than that at the moment? Even if you get one title shot, what are they going to do after? Neither one of these guys is going to win the title right now, in my opinion. You can't. There's no point trying to have that in your mindset because that's just not going to happen. Surely teaming them up would be better suited, and I'm not saying they may still do that, by the way, but that surely would be the best idea in my mind. Especially with that ending last night. Otherwise, I just don't see what the point of that was for me.
Yeah, I mean, that would be the best outcome for me because, you know, I was thinking if they got a title shot, it wouldn't be a heavyweight title. I couldn't imagine it. It would more than likely be US title, and that's just sort of feeding them now to, you know, the US champ. Yeah.
Well, I mean, those guys have looked. They've held probably. I mean, Sheamus has held kind of multiple times, so has Cesaro. So I don't want to. There's no point going to that sort of area, but you know, tag team. Something between those two guys, possibly. You never know. Could be good chemistry. Overall, this match, like I said, I was surprised. It went for a good 16 minutes plus, and I'm surprised with myself giving this, but I'm giving it a 4 stars. I felt this was a solid match, and up until this point, this was definitely the best match I'd seen on the card. So far this night, and it was the one I was least looking forward to. So, it's 4 stars for me. Pleasantly surprised. I've got to say the ending annoyed me slightly, but if it does end up being, you know, something where they get the tag titles, then that'll make this rating all the more sweet. Your sum up on the match and the rating for it, Matt?
Yeah, I totally agree. It's a 4 star for me. I mean, they didn't really do anything wrong, and you know. Got to give Cesaro his props for getting up after landing on his head because I thought that was him out after that.
The reason I brought that whole interview thing up before when Cesaro said this is going to be the greatest comeback in sports entertainment history. Listen, I hate it when guys they're saying that all the time now, and then they go out there as the baby face and they don't deliver. I just really think that's a golden rule you don't do. I remember listening to Bret Hart. And I don't know if you've heard this from him before, Matt. I mean, I know you're a Bret fan as well. The one thing he said if he knew he was going to lose that night and he was going to do an interview, he would never say he was going to guarantee a win or guarantee something good. He just wouldn't do it. He said, as the baby face, it was a golden rule. If he knew he was going to win, he was going to shove that down everybody's throat so he can sort of back up his words. So I really feel like it's not Cesaro's fault. I mean, it's obviously the guy's writing it, but they need to think about things like that. I mean, that was a ridiculous statement when you think about it. Not that I really thought too much of it, being the kind of fan that I am. But I mean, if you're a casual fan, you're going to think to yourself, really? You know, like, I'm not going to believe that again. So, yeah, it wasn't great stuff. Next up, Matt, we had a scene of we had sort of Charlotte, who sort of mocked Bayley backstage and told her she wouldn't win tonight. It was just what it was. Nothing really too classic in that. Where are we now? And then, of course, we get to an interesting kind of match. I suppose this was a match on paper where I thought this could be a good match. Depends what they get of it. I was pretty sure that it would go one way, but now, obviously, it didn't. Chris Jericho versus Sami Zayn. Matt, what was your take on the match that we saw?
These kind of matches are always the ones I'm interested in. I think, like, people like Sami Zayn, and when they wrestle people like Jericho, usually anybody that wrestles Jericho gets the best out of themselves because he brings out the best in a lot of people. He can wrestle with a wide variety of people, and I think this is another example of that. This was a good match, you know, and we spoke about it a bit before, like, the pay-per-view started, and we was trying to figure out which way it would go, and then we both kind of convinced ourselves that Sami Zayn would be the choice. But, you know, I like matches like this surprise you.
Yeah, I was glad. I mean, I will say one thing about the card in general, top to bottom, is that it did throw up some surprises, which is good. We want to see that more. That's when you know wrestling is on the right wavelength in pro wrestling. You know, you want to be surprised. Again, this was going to be. I felt Sami Zayn done a tremendous job. He he sort of, you know, held his own with a great worker like Chris Jericho, and I think if you can do that, you're in the right stratosphere. Did you feel like this had to be? Could this have been Sami Zayn's night, Matt? Like, overall, could have been his big sort of move up to the next bit, or did you sort of feel that Sami Zayn, you know, he's still got a long way to go, and perhaps Jericho winning made some kind of sense? What was your view on the sort of the booking, on the way this sort of all come to an end? Because it was clean. We've got to say that much. It was a clean finish. Was you happy with that?
Yeah, of course I was happy. I mean, I'm a fan of Jericho, you know, I want to see Jericho win. But at the same time, you know, I think it could have been Sami Zayn's night. It could have been the boost he needed to get up to that next kind of level. But I don't really think they're ready for him at the next kind of level. I don't think that space has opened up just yet. I think they've got a few other loose ends to tie up before they're ready to look for the next kind of guy. I mean, I know they lost Finn Balor, but, you know, Owens has stepped into that spot, and we're only just freshly coming off of the Owens-Zayn feud, and do we really want to get back into that? Yeah,
I would leave that further down the road. Yeah, I mean, overall I gave this match a 3.5. It wasn't quite to the level I thought I just saw, but it was decent. I mean, there was nothing wrong with it. There were moments in it where I was a little bit sort of, there was a little bit rough sometimes watching it, but I felt it was overall good, and I felt it was a great outing for Sami Zayn. Your overall ratings on that match, Matt?
Yeah, I'm going to be a little bit critical and say, you know, it wasn't the best I've seen out of Sami Zayn. I'll give it 3 stars.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I mean, we'll probably go back to this match because of what happened later, and I think the way it was, the booking might have some logic, I hope, to it, because certainly I was a little bit puzzled when I saw that. But next, Matt, we had another backstage segment, which was Mick Foley and Stephanie. The continual meeting with Owens backstage. It's like they only ever seem to bump into him at these moments, and you know, they completely kiss his ass, and Owens sees through and runs them down, etc., etc. I mean, it was what it was, but I felt, you know, Owens done a decent job of doing that. You know, I've had a lot of emails, Matt, about one thing in that interview. It's a very odd thing, but we had about 6-7 emails all saying the same thing. And I don't know if you noticed what people have noticed in that interview, Matt. I was just going to ask you now. No.
What's that?
No,
you asking me now?
Yeah. There was something that everybody seemed to notice in this, and I got very strange emails. I was like, I didn't really think about it. I had to go back to see it, but I don't know if you noticed what I got with everyone. I had about 7-8 emails all saying the same thing. I didn't know if you noticed anything in that segment.
No, I think I got a little bit distracted during this interview. Anyway, I don't think I actually saw the whole thing of it. I saw it come up, and then I thought, no. Then I looked away from it a little bit, and then came back. I think I might have missed what this was.
Well, here's the thing, and it's an odd thing, but everybody wrote in saying, "My God, that was a terrible angle to shoot Owens from. We all saw his stretch marks underneath his arm." I was like, okay. No. And apparently it was very visible in the match itself as well. So obviously they didn't do a very good job at the angle they were shooting that from. But yeah, it puzzled me. When people wrote that in, I had to go back, and then, yes, it was very obvious to me that that was a big thing. But listen, in his defence, the guy's lost a lot of weight, and that's the result you're going to get when you shed weight quick. But obviously you don't want your heavyweight champion kind of on camera, look, sort of in the sort of limelight like that. So you probably have to be careful. But yeah, we had a huge sort of emails coming in about this. So I had to go back and check that out. I just wondered if that was something that you saw, but obviously you may have been distracted at the time. So
I just said that. I've got the show on the background as I'm going through it. I'm actually watching bits. Like it's come up now, and I can see them. It's kind of horrible. It's like massive welts under his arms and that.
Yeah.
It doesn't look very unattractive.
Yes, yeah. I think they've got to. Yeah, I've always spoke about this, and I've always said to people, WWE do a really good job at the angles and everything else. That is why I'd say 90% of the time, Matt, they will only shoot Brock Lesnar from his good ear side. That is a very noticeable thing when he's in the ring. He stands one side. And if it's positioned that the cameras, the main camera that's shot, he will always stand to the side where his best ear is. And the little things like that, they've always normally been good at. So I don't know how that happened, and they didn't notice that, before it went out. But obviously, perhaps they've got to sort that. Go on, mate.
The other thing I did notice, though, as well about it was that Stephanie doesn't look 40. Oh, no. She does not look like she just turned 40.
Yes, it was her birthday, of course, that came on. So that was an interesting point, wasn't it? We go... actually, I should point out that... what do we have here in between all this? That's further along. We get past that moment anyway. Now, of course, we go to having... in fact, mate, if you have that in the background, you may even see that 2K17 advert spring up. Not sure if that came up after that or what, but...
no, straight into the women's promo.
Fair enough. I thought you might get a sneak view. So next we go to the WWE Women's title match, of course, defended by Charlotte with Dana versus Sasha Banks versus Bayley. I'm going to give my view, my opinion on this one quick because I got to kind of get it out there before I start going into the match itself. That first off, I'd seen this match every which way, even if it wasn't, a triple threat as such. I'd seen so much of this that by the time we get to this match, I'm kind of thinking I'm just not that interested, and I can, long term, I know where they're going with this. It doesn't take a genius to foresee this. What was your overall feelings about having this match, Matt? And a lot of people, I think it'll be a good time to bring it up because we've had a lot of people over the past few weeks talk about Bayley and how her sort of debut and the way she's been treated and used hasn't exactly been amazing like we thought it was going to be. Like, we kind of saw this as being, like the Finn Balor of the women, or, like the new sort of John Cena of the women, where she's always going to be the biggest baby face and she's happy and everything else. She's got this great credibility behind her. But do you think they've kind of slightly taken, her down a peg or two?
It really makes me wonder, like, how much foresight